Okay, we are in Shaar Gimel. We did Parak Yud, going through Parak Yud Aleph, and actually a very fundamental Shiur, Parak Yud, but Afal Pikein, I don't want to repeat it. So, let's just say this synopsis of it, that everything, this is what we learned. Kind of like moving, either you could say moving away from Tzimtzum or moving deeper into Tzimtzum, but let's leave the word out of it. Let's leave the word and the controversial term out of it. The yesod is that everything that Hashem created everything Hashem created, every one of us, the table, the chairs, everything that Hashem created has what we see and has an aspect to it that we don't see. There's, as the Nefesh Hachaim pointed out, even in what we see, there's what we don't see. Meaning, like, even what's right in front of you, we don't see the atoms, we don't see the molecules, or maybe there could be instruments that could allow us to see that. So, that's just part of it, the breakup of the actual material object. But beyond that, there's a whole marechet of things that are involved in this book, or even better, in this smartphone, that make it be what it is. Like we see it even begashmius, right? So you have the smartphone, but if you don't have, it has to be hooked up to the internet in order to have any kind of, in order to get its full value. The internet here, the repeater here, right? See it? Repeater has to be hooked up to the main internet in the building. Main internet building has to be hooked up to the infrastructure of the city. V'chulu v'chulu. So there's what you see, and there's what you don't see, and the same thing is in the Ruchnius level. And he tells us that these are the worlds, Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asira, Asiya, on top of everything that was created. I say on top, but I mean, in other words, the first level of what you don't see, the first layer, is the layer of Mazolois, the second layer is the layer of Malachim, the third layer is the layer of Kisei HaKavod. Do we understand any of those things? No, because they're not in the layer that we can see. We could just know that they're there at best. However, first of all, some people can see them, and that's what Nevuah is. What Nevuah is, I spoke about it yesterday a little bit, but I just take as an example. It's true of all the Nevi'im. That's what Nevuah is. But let's say there was a Chorban Beis HaMikdash. Al Narish Bavel Shem Yeshavnu Gam Bachinu B'Zachrenu Asiyain. We're in mourning over the Chorban Beis HaMikdash. In the meantime, Yecheskel is having a nevuah about the Bayis Shlishi, or Bayis Sheni, as he thought it was, of the ultimate Bayis. So just as there's a destruction, the destruction was here, but he was able to see. It wasn't just a vision of the future. He was able to see something deeper. We see destruction. He saw binyan. So he was just looking at it at a completely different level, and shared his nevuah, and his nevuah was in great detail. Every single midah of the next bias, which was different than the first bias, he saw. Ad kedei kach, Hashem said, write it down. It's very complicated. It's not something you're going to remember when you get out of this trance. Zachariah Hanavi, so he sees yesterday's Haftarah. He sees a nevuah of even the Bayis Sheni, but it wasn't the Bayis Sheni that anybody saw. It was the Bayis Sheni that everybody saw at the time of Ezra. It was nothing. It was made out of wood. It had no grandeur to it. It had no beauty to it. But even the Bayis Koresh, that was only the very, very end, for a few years, 20 years, Bayis Koresh. But what he saw was, in the Bayis Sheni, there's already the Bayis Shlishi. So what it means to say is Nevuah, and there in Zechariah is very, very interesting. Yesterday's Haftarah, particularly interesting, because there he's having a Nevuah about the Beis HaMikdash. He sees a menorah with two Zaysim squeezing their oil into the menorah, and he sees and there's a Malach in the Nevuah, which is explaining the Nevuah to him, right? It's like it was like a picture inside a picture, like it was a Nevuah b'tach Nevuah. The Nevuah was a Malach. What was it? The answer is these are two different madregas. There's one madrega of Mazolis, another madrega of Malachim, and then there's another madrega of Olam Abriya, where everything is echad kisei hakavod. So what happens over here is that his own senses. He said, "Ma taroya And he says, I don't know. In any idea, I don't know what I'm seeing. So he says, yeah, you do know. What's he telling him? You do know, right? I'm just reading from the Torah. What does he mean? You do know. Go deeper. So he's talking to who? He's talking to here's Yecheskel sitting amongst the Zechariah sitting amongst the golem and amongst those and the bonim of the Bayis Sheni, and above him is the malachim. And this malach is talking to him, interpreting for him the higher level of the nevuah. This is not Kabbalah, it's Nach. This is Mufurish in the pasuk of yesterday's Haftarah. Bar Mitzvah boy read it. It's the whole Nefesh Hachaim is right there in the nevuah of Zechariah. Yeah, it's right there.
So, what do you call it when Rabbi Akiva is the same thing? He's walking, he's there, and he sees the fox.
Mamish the same thing. So it's mamish the same thing. What do you see? What do I see? He was seeing. By the way, it's on the nevuah of Zechariah. that's what he saw. But what was he seeing? He was seeing. You're seeing, I'm seeing, but we're seeing two different things. Because if you can, and this is what we learned in Perek Yud, that I said I'm not going to repeat, so I won't. This is what we learned in Perek Yud, that we're not completely limited, although very much limited, to the world that we see in front of us. There's much more to it than meets the eye, and that's the Olamas Elyonim that are on top of it. And sometimes through prophecy, sometimes through tefillah, you can reach, you can actually put yourself in a different place of consciousness. In other words, you can actually be there instead of here. Don't know if that's a good idea to do all the time, but it's an interesting idea that you can actually access something higher. And prime example is if a person does an avera and then you do tshuva, zdonis nasa k'schuyos, mapitom, like zdonis nasa k'schuyos. The answer is that if you're in the what the Arizal calls the Oitzer Mat Naschinam, if you're into a higher dimension, there is no tov v'ra. There's just Hashem doing everything for the sake of keeping the world going. So once you can access that world through tshuva, so once you can access the world of tshuva, you're in a world where there is no chet, even. But in this world there is chet, so you got to be careful. But it can go ad kedei kach. So that was Perek Yud, and that was the Riyah, says the Nefesh Hachaim, of the Ma'aseh Merkava. Ma'aseh Merkava is complicated, but it's not complicated. What he saw was the Merkava with a Shaar, with a Nesher, with a Adam, and with an Ari. This is what he saw. Those that Yecheskel, same Yecheskel that saw the Bayis Shlishi. What he saw was the Shirish of all of the Bria. So the Shirish of the Nesher was the Shirish of all the flying things. By the way, if you look in the Malbim, he's masber this, very, very clearly that the Nesher is the king of the flying kingdom, and the Ari, of course, the lion, is the king of the jungle, and the Shaar is the king of all behemoths, and the Adam is the king of the world, of humanity, Adam. The Bechir of the Bria. What he was seeing was, I could look at the world, and this was Dafke B'Shas HaChorban, when everything seems so black and everything seems so dark, I could see things on a higher level. That's what was going on with Yecheskel, and he shared that with the people, the Ma'aseh Merkava. Why is the Ma'aseh Merkava so not understandable? Because we live here. We're here in this world. I mentioned that the Svarim say that the neshama itself, we look at the neshama as being here. The neshama has to be looked at, has to be viewed as like a large circle, which is I'm saying is in a diagram form, of which a little piece of it is passing through me. So this my neshama or whatever you want to say is just a small piece of the big thing, which is the neshama, and this is important because it's actually that neshama which allows us to transcend. And Perek Yud Aleph. It's known from the Zayar. Shuhu Yisbarach v'diburai chad. there's this idea of Hashem and His name are one. Just one last review that we need is that there's often you see the Shem Elokim, and often you see the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shem Elokim is Bala Koiches Kulam. It says that in Shulchan Aruch. Bala Koiches Kulam means all the different forces and things that go into both the Gashmis and the Ruchnis of what goes into this world that we see. It's what's it called? It's paranormal, like beyond what's Gashmis. But then there's the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei.
Metaphysical.
Let's say metaphysical. That's a better word. Metaphysical. So it's not bound by the physical, but it's not. That's still Elokim, Malochim, Mazolois. All those things are still the Shem Elokim. But above it all is the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. Moshe Rabbeinu is constantly asking, telling me Elokim, Elokim, Elokim. I want to see Yud Kei Vav Kei. I want to say the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei means the Shem Be'etzem of HaKadosh Baruch. This is what it really is, which we don't see. Even Yechezkel didn't see that. Even Moshe Rabbeinu didn't see it. Couldn't see it. We just see. Basically, we could see as far as we can see. When you think about it, the Ma'aseh Merkava, which is like presumably just about the deepest that a person can see, was very limited in its nature. Because it was only from the world of Bria down. He couldn't get through that curtain. The next mechitza couldn't do that. Live people can't do it. Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't do it either. But this is the big spiritual yearning of a person. Lachsois pnei Hashem. Lirois for lachsois pnei Hashem, to be able to see. Because if we knew pnei Hashem, then we would know why righteous people suffer. We would know why there's wars. We would know. That's the Gemara explains. Lamayesh Sadik V'Ralei, Rasha V'Toivlei, even a bigger kasha. Why do evil people matzliach? We don't get it because we can't see the pnei Hashem. So we got to live with that limitation. Every time Hashem says something in Parshas Bereishis, Amar Vayihi, right? This is like a repetition. Vayomer Hashem Yehi Or, Vayihi Or. So it doesn't say it, but I said the pasuk wrong. Anybody catch me? Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or, Vayihi Or. So the diukim in the pasuk are, first of all, why Elokim? Vayomer Elokim. And second of all, why Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or? Vayihi Or.
Two steps. Sounds like 2 steps. Vayihi.
When he said Vayihi hu anefesh v'chiyus oisei adavar sheniver bai, because you thought that Hashem said let there be fish, so He created a fish. There's a fish. There's the salmon swimming in the sea. No, not just He created the fish. V'chol ribei revabos haminim shebayim hamazolos hamamunim aleim v'hamalochim hamamunim alois hamazolos v'sharshim v'sharshim lamal lamalo sheb'chol oilam. You get it? The fish has a mazel, believe it or not. I mean, you know that. If you go fishing, you think like, I hope I have some mazel. But the one who really needs the mazel is the fish, because there's like millions of fish down there. Like, what's up as you hook me? Like, what's the... So every fish has a mazel, and every mazel has a malach, and every malach has a shirish, and on and on and on, beyond words that anybody knows how to describe. Bechlal. So when Hashem said, Vayihi fish, or Vayihi or, so mitzad echad, you have a fish. But mitzad sheni, there's a whole marechet. You see, if the electrician tells you, okay, I installed the light, so you say that'll be 1,000 shekels. 1,000 shekels, it takes 15 minutes to put in a light. Yes, but then you got to get the wiring to the switch, and the switch to the fuse box, and the fuse box to the outside. It's what you don't see is much more than what you do see. Unless you're here, you see everything. But it's pashut that there's so much there beyond what you see. What'd you do? You put in a light bulb. What did you do?
Well, give me that mushroom. The infrastructure is here already, and then the fish is added. I mean, you said before.
The bottom of the
You seem to say that the fish, when the fish is created, all the support system for the fish is created at the same time.
With it.
As different than here. This is the light. The infrastructure's here. I just put the light bulb in, the light fixture in. So I would have thought that when the malachim were created, the whole system for take care of the fish was created, and then when the fish were created, they just tied into that system.
Right. But can you think of an afkamina?
No.
No, but you're right. It's not an exact motion. But, the point is, there's what you see and there's what you don't see. So every fish has a malach, or the Zohar says every blade of grass has a malach.
There is enough kamina. Every malach has a purpose. If there's no fish, that malach has no purpose.
That's right. Afkamina for malachim, you mean?
Right. When the fish is created, automatically the malach has a purpose. Therefore, they're created simultaneously. If the malach was created earlier, it doesn't have a purpose.
So when you hook the fish, the malach is it's gone. Yeah.
As we remember, that he was davening and a golden table leg fell out.
A leg.
Right, and then he saw in Shaar that everyone was sitting on the table with 4 legs, and he was sitting on a table with 3 legs. It's the same.
Lamalo lamata.
It came somehow. He brought that.
Right.
So that mean that you make the fish. That's what Hashem makes the fish. The malach is created spontaneously, but he's not the source. So is he just part of the conduit?
So again, I'm not so esoteric, but
See, this is the conduit.
right. I don't just in order for a fish to exist, it needs a whole marech. It needs water. It needs a malach. It needs a mazel. It needs Hashem that's giving it. So same thing with people, by the way. In order for us to exist, right, we need to, it not only has to work internally, but you need things outside. You need air, you need water, you need relationships, you need to live in a place which is conducive to life, right, etc. Until you get to Shemayim. So the chiddush here is that everything's a marechet, and there's a whole spiritual marechet to this marechet. It's not even a separate thing. It just keeps on going in the spiritual level. And again, this is what the Nevi'im were able to see. The Nevi'im, the Yecheskel saw a Beis HaMikdash, which we didn't see. He saw something, he saw it in the ashes. Like, that's where he saw it. So, okay. From the time that Hashem said, Yehi fish, or Yehi or, until the rest of history, Dvara Yisbarach Nitzav Bohem, Hashem's words are standing there, empowering and giving energy to this marechet. La'iram ulakaimam kol rega, v'chol protein yoneim v'shinuyim v'sidur matzavam. This is going to get even more interesting because, but Yesod Aleph is, don't be fooled or limited by the Gashmias you can see. A lot of people say, there's a mashal, like a lot of people say, like, it's hard for me to be religious because, like, I was brought up in a scientific world. They say that in a patronizing way. You don't really understand, but you don't really understand how things really work. Being brought up in a scientific world is a huge limitation. It's like somebody would say, look, don't tell me about the molecular structure of this table. I got it a little bit clearer. I'm a carpenter. So, and a Hanami, like he sees, the practical side of it. A scientist can see a tremendous amount, but it's a limitation because it all has to fit in that tiny space under the microscope. There's no. What he's really saying to you, or she is really saying to you, is that I was brought up in the scientific world, so I'm limited. That's what they're really saying. I'm just limited. I really can't understand what you're saying because we're taught that if you can't see it, it doesn't exist, and you can't measure it, or it doesn't take up space, then of some level, so it doesn't exist. The smart scientists didn't hold that. Like people say they're brought up scientifically.
The more they learn and know,
Where they see they don't know.
the more they understand how much they don't know.
Yeah. Einstein said something, I wish I knew the exact quote, but you can't talk intelligently without quoting Einstein, so I will do so. But he said something which I'm not sure if it's apocarsis or not, but he said that there's everything that we can see, and then there's all the mystery of it that we can't see. And to me, this is God. Now, he also limited himself because I wouldn't want to get into a match with him, I don't think. But the fact is, he limited himself because he's right away, there's what you see, and felt he could see so much, which I'm sure he was able to, that what I can't see, that mystery is already God. No. You have a long way to go, because then, if you're going to go with that type of, does anybody know the exact quote? That's what he says. That's what he said. In other words, he acknowledged that there's, the good news is, he acknowledged that it's impossible, that there's a whole mysterious part of everything which nobody's going to ever be able to explain, as he put it. Nobody's ever going to be able to explain the mysterious aspect of it. But you see, the problem is if you stop there and say, well, that's God, then you become a pantheist, and then you could be ovate that force, which is making it like we don't see gravity. Gravity just behaves. This makes things behave a certain way. But what he was saying is he's already holding by God. Go to yeshiva. You have more to learn than you're not yet up to God. Maybe you're not even up to astrologers. We see a deeper thing. Maybe they do if they're real astrologers. I don't know if they exist. But let's say there is such a thing as mazoles. Avraham Avinu, Itztagninus shel Avraham Avinu. It is a chachma. I don't know if Gene Dixon in the New York Times is an astrologer, but I'm just saying that there is such a chachma. Rabbi Yaakov was an astrologer. The Ibn Ezra was an astrologer. There was a big chachma to it, but that's not it. Ein mazal Yisrael. Go further. So as far as you go, there's always a further place to go, and that's the chap over here. That not to use everything that we can do as limitations.
It's not just science is limited, because Einstein saw the mysterious of the world, and he saw God in the seder of the world, this unbelievable seder that it can't be by chance, and there's some kind of. But our concept of.
But I don't know if that's what he said. Do you know that that's what he? I don't know.
Yeah, it's something that again.
No, because others spoke about the seder.
No, they did spoke about. He did speak about that. That's why he's big. He was against quantum mechanics for that reason, because there's no seder. And he said it can't be that the ancient one plays dice. That's the quote. It can't be that there's hefker in the world. But our marechet of our ruch's marechet is a steerer to the scientific marechet. In other words, lo l'kalan ha'maroitz v'lo l'chacham loisher. This is not, and if you daven, that makes a difference. This is a steerer to the way the natural world works. So it's living into two minus.
I mean, I hear you. I don't think it's a steerer. I think it's just a tweak. Like it's a business class. This is the way it works on this level, but then it can work differently on a different level, or it doesn't have to work differently. You can see it differently and understand what's Ra's Toy. That's all.
But it was Mavatal at the previous levels.
Oh, that's actually what he talks about here. Whether it's a very interesting point you're making. Whether it's Mavatal, the previous level, or not. But at this point, it doesn't have to be Mavatal. It's just an add-on. Better glasses, better binoculars, better.
It doesn't matter what I do because I'm going to die.
Let me ask you something. If you look at somebody in an MRI, so you're seeing something that normally regular people with regular eyes can't see. Remember, my father, all of a sudden, I remember he was like, it was in his last days, and the doctor comes in and says, I want to take a blood test. Why are you mushing him when you take a blood test? What are you going to do? Decide he has, give him back. What are you going to do? What's the blood test for? It stopped the doctor, doctors take blood tests. That's what we do. We take blood tests, So I said, well, a blood test is a test. So you test, you need a result. And what are you going to do with the result? My nafkamina, like, what do you? Yeah, and that's Tommy. He's an old man. What you here for? Like, I didn't understand. Like, I don't like blood tests. He probably didn't like blood tests. So who wants? So what do you need it for? And the veins weren't working. It would dehydrate everything. Blood tests. I remember right here in Shaar, the doctor looks at me. He says, "I'm a scientist and I need to know." Okay, do that to your father. Don't do it to my Like, I need to know. Like, you look like spooky. I didn't let him do it. Like what Bob told him. Like, but the thing is that we were at a point where we're at a different level. We're at a different level of knowledge. What we needed to know here was different. Let me go a little bit further, because this is all coming up, and it's just really fascinating when you start looking at the world completely differently.
Well, that was supposedly the first rule in medical school, is first
take
do
a blood
no
test.
harm.
What?
First do no harm.
Okay. I mean, realistically, a blood test is not going to do harm, I don't think, but it's just like, it's to me, it appeared to be at that admittedly emotional moment that as Gaiva Gemara, like, you're not going to cure him, you're not going to make him live longer, you're not going to heal anything, your tests are level valoric, but you need to do them. That's how stuck you could get into the world of science, that there is nothing else. So I didn't say this, but I would tell the doctor, you want to do something for him? Pray with me. That would be a better toelis for me. I don't think I would have gone over.
I had the same experience with my wife Shoshana. In the final days, we wanted to come in, get the needle and to do some test. And I said to the doctor, I said, for what purpose? She said, well, let me test. It's not going to make a difference. I'd rather not disturb
Don't disturb
her at this time. He looked at me and he says, you're right. I'm going to do it. There's no way.
So that maybe you and I are the only two people that ever were all made on this.
We had two different doctors. One understood and one didn't.
Both of the same university. L'chein, says the Nefesh Hachaim. L'chein, b'chol ha'eser ma'amaris, in all of the eser ma'amaris, right? Asar ma'amaris nivra elam, v'yomer Elokim, v'yomer Elokim, v'yomer Elokim 10 times, 9 times. Lo nizkar shem, rak shem Elokim. I corrected myself before. It doesn't say v'yomer Hashem. It's v'yomer Elokim. Why Elokim, not Hashem? Why not Yud Kei Vav Kei? She'oiseh a because those ma'amaris, those 10 utterances of Hashem, let there be light, let there be water, let there be sky, hirakia, all those utterances, oiser amaimer hu bal hakoichos shel oisei hadavar. See, Elikim is bal hakoichos kul. It means that here's the sefer, and then there's koichos. They're going all the way. We didn't know last week. We call it energy or matter. It doesn't make a difference. Kochos. Let's call it kochos. So all of the kochos that are here were all created at one time. Those are all under the category of Elokim. Everything that Hashem created, Yud Kei Vav Kei created, and what He told us about is Vayomer Elokim. 10 levels, 20 levels, whatever it might be, which they're possible for humans to access. Do you know, the just passed into my mind that the Rambam starts Hilchos Nevuah by saying, Yesodei Hadas, it's a Yesod, which it is, it's one of the Yud Gimel Yesodas. Yesodei Hadas, Hakel Menaveh Es B'nei Ha'adam, that Hashem speaks to people. Now, it's possible if you're Jewish, you have to believe that, because otherwise there would be no Torah. There would be no Nevuah. There would be no religion. Of course Hashem speaks to people. But Yesodei Hadas is not just, is that there's this connection between Hashem and the world.
You didn't leave it to run by itself.
That's right. It's not, and it's Hashem minave es b'nei ha'adam. So that's coming from up to down. There's also another Yesod which goes from down to up, which is called tefillah. You don't have to be a makubal. You can take your deeper here and go up, but it's all transcending the scientific model. That's the point. L'chein bal chol ha'aser ma'amaris l'nizker rak shem elikim she'oisei ha'maimer hu bal ha'koicha shel oisei ha'davar v'chol ha'minim sheboi nivru boi shehu nafsham. It's what's called the catch-all word for that is, here of God, the nefesh, which is hamispashe b'pnimius kol protei cholkeim. All of that is called the nefesh. So, yes, there's nefesh, ruach, neshama, but everything that you don't see is called the nefesh. Catch-all term. Rak sha'ata, as we live now, and let's not fool ourselves, tach einenu. That's like tiach. Tach einenu. Meirois be'enei habasar, to see with our fleshik eyes. Ech ube'ezo oifen diburis baruch mispasha bahem. We do not see the full connection from Vayomer Elikim until the place that we have. We can understand how this behaves. I think, Baruch Hashem, thank God we don't see it, because we'd probably go crazy. Like if you had glasses to see, forget about the world of Ruchnius, but even the world of Gashmius, it would be like a crazy situation if you'd be able to see all of a sudden all the Wi-Fi waves and radio waves and microwaves and germs. You would become a Meshuggah. Like the blindness actually works well for us, and that's why Hashem created it. Just as this, we're not meant to see this on a regular basis.
We're not meant to see malachim or limiyot.
That's right. So there's an occasional cases in history where Yaakov Avinu sees malachim olim v'yardim. That was in a chalom. There are places with tefillah where we can access and see, have a glimpse. And it has to be, I explained last week, it has to be because with your mind, just your mind, with limitation of machshava, there's no way you can stand before Hashem and realize you're standing for Hashem. So you have to be davening with your heart, with your neshama. But you don't have to comprehend it. It's not a matter of comprehension. So it's good in a way that we're not seeing, like imagine we'd see me now, like malachim, and you don't want to see that. I don't think so. Come Michigan. Maybe the world couldn't operate with that. So this is a bracha from Hashem that He limited us to the Olam of Machshava, and a little bit to know there's more to it than that. I wanted to show you something about this. I'll show you. I brought me this. The in Hilchos Avelus, Shin Mem Daled, which is called Yerdei Shin Mem Daled, which is called Shin Daled Mem, which is strange because he doesn't want to say Shmad, so he says Shade. It's like but Shin Daled Mem. So this is the halachas of how to say a hesped on a person who dies. Obviously, if a person dies, so you're supposed to, you're not allowed to be misatzel behesped, but at the same time, you're not supposed to exaggerate in a hesped. Tell you what it is. If you're good at it and you're experienced at it, you'll know how to say true things which are good. Everyone has good things that are true. But so the Shulchan Aruch says, he says here in Shulchan Aruch, you're allowed to be mosif a little bit to explain, but if you just say something which completely is not true, you got to be careful with this. By the way, many Gedolim have left wills not to say any hesped on them at all, because they thought that because of their stature, people would be saying guzmaot. And kol hamasker al mishloi haya by klal or shemoisiv lahaflig yoiser midai al masha haya by goyrem ra la'atzmai ulames. Bad for you for some reason, and it's bad for the mace. Why is it bad for the mace? I suppose there's some kind of an expectation in Shemayim. Oh, you didn't do that. Why are they saying that? Like, you become a liar. But the thing is, that's okay. Well, we don't have to know that so much. But I just want to show you this. The Taz says, "Yesh b'Yerushalmi, Yesh b'Yerushalmi." There is a Yerushalmi that says, "Hameis Yodeya V'shomea kilusai, that when the mace is laid out there, so he hears and knows, understands, Yodea v'shomea kiluso, the praises that are being said about him. Like, you think he's dead, right? He is dead. But even if he's dead, he's hearing what's going on. It says, Yerushalmi kimitoicha chaloim. For the mace, it's like a dream. V'chol sha'imrim b'fanav yodea. So whatever is said in front of the mace, he's yodea, like we know in a dream. That's what's going on. Achiyistam hagoylel, until you close until you put the dirt on the body, and that's a shift. And then he doesn't hear anymore. You can say whatever you want. So the hesped is dafka before stimas hagoylel. So it's a. I mean, first of all, it's fascinating halacha. The Indian of a hesped is to give that hana to the mace. Kavod achra, to give the hana to the mace.
Hana is a comfort.
Yikara, covered. It's covered amace. Giving covered amace.
For him or for you? For him or for you?
It's covered for the mace. It's like he's like in a chalom and you're sweetening the dream. For that period of time, that between death and burial, complete burial. But there's, you see that, why am I bringing this? Because you see that here's a case, it's what you were talking about. Here's a case where he doesn't have the same havana as the live person has. He's lost that, just like he can't walk and talk. Doesn't have the same havana that the live person has on the one hand. On the other hand, it's kind of like once you walk into this higher level of havana, let's call it, or a different level of havana, which he says, the Yerushalmi says is like a chaloim. A chalom it doesn't have a lot of limitations. You can be flying, you could be dancing, like a lot of things can happen in a dream. So it's a sort of like a higher level of consciousness, but you've left the other one behind. That's the nakuda here of this Taz. You've left the other one behind. Sof he's a mace. So like if you have to like the psychology of a mace, a new book. Psychology of a mace is, what can he hear, what can he? But it's death, which brings him, let's say, closer to a spiritual world and further away from a physical world. So on the one hand, who knows what a mace is accessing at that moment, going forward to Gan Eden, but he's no longer accessing the simple Havana that everybody in the room has.
By him is bottle. All is really bottle.
It's bottle. That's the case. That's the case. So it should follow that once a Navi sees something on a level of Shemayim, like Yecheskel HaNavi, sees the Merkava and he sees the Bayis Shlishi and he sees how things really work, then he's no longer the Miyayetz, if you will, who's capable of seeing. In that prat, he's like Kames. So he's no longer seeing things regular any longer. Which you find, such a thing.
Is that what the comment about Cook being a Navi, is that it?
Good shot. Huh? That's a good shot. So let's go 2 minutes longer. Asad Lavai, that means when Mashiach comes, the Geula, when the world comes to its tikkun. Asad Lavai ksiv v'ro kol basar yachtov ki pi yudke vavke diber. The whole world is going to see the Yudke Vavke. In other words, right now we're seeing Elokim, Asar Ma'amares, right, Vayomer Elokim. But L'Asad Lavai, where there's going to be a complete Gilui. So the Gilui is Ad Yudke Vavke, which is the higher level, the highest level of the Bria. So the whole story of Bereshis that we have in Bereshis is Bentayim. But there will come a time, like I said, I don't understand that time, because what are we gonna see? But we will see.
What makes it clear that
Ein Ben.
there's not going to be such a major difference. Mashiach will come.
Rambam's talking about earlier Tkufa in the Mashiach, but talking about of course, there's going to be Tchias HaMesim. He doesn't disagree with that. But what he's saying is at the beginning of Mashiach, like now, beginning of Mashiach, Ein Bein. That's what he's mafarish in the Mishnah. There's no difference. You get more advanced than it, maybe 100 years later, 1,000 years, I don't know. But further into it, then the whole world becomes one with the Shamayim, and that's where all the supernatural things take place. So there's two stages of the Geula. I'll be happy with any one of them right now, but there's two stages in the Geula. So there's going to come a time, there's a pasuk in Yeshayahu, V'ro kol basar yachtav kipi yud kei vav kei havaya diber. They're going to see that all of this was spoken from Hashem. What does it mean? What it means in simple language is that, why was there a war? Why was there a Holocaust? Why are people sick and dying? And we don't know. We don't know, and it's gaiva to say that we do know. I'm trying to figure it out with Machshav. But there'll come a time in the Asid Lavai that we'll see Pi Havaya Diber. That this was all part of some kind of marechet. Hainu Shizdachech means to say that our Hasagosenu, our minds will become so refined. Even with our eyes, this is a key phrase here for the overarching issue of Tzimtzum. What are we going to see? We're going to see, I don't know if we see the whole Marechet, but we're able to see Hispashtus Diburai, how the word of Hashem was mispashet b'chol davar ba'olam. Just put it in a language we could understand. Let's say you look at a person, you'll see the neshama. A revelation of his neshama. Which, you see somebody's neshama, if you have that koach, somebody was ugly, you see their neshama, you're kind of cute. You can see something deeper about the person, the neshama. So there's going to come a time where the neshama is going to be miskala. With these words we'll end today, that because we already saw an example of this. We saw an example of this based Matan Torah. When Hashem gave the Torah, Dichsiv v'cholam royim es hakolos. Here starts a new sugya. Royim es hakolos. The senses are mixed up because shmiya kol has to do with comprehension. You hear something, you process it, you understand it. Vision is a different thing. You can block my vision, but I'm still hearing. So I'm still hearing even from a different room. So by Har Sinai, what took place? This is the deep shot. That royim es hakolos, that they were able to have a riyah in a kol. In other words, they transcended from the world of comprehension to the world of visual. That's what it means. At Har Sinai, what they would normally have to use their brains to understand, so that it was like they died. That's what Chazal mean. So it says that they died and they had Tchias HaMesim. I don't know if they died. But what it means that they died is for the moment. And by the way, this was so painful for them that they said, we don't want to do this anymore. Moshe, you do that. We'll wait. We'll wait here. But it's a model for what could possibly happen when there's a complete Giloy, and that's what took place in Matan Torah. It was Moshe Rabbeinu's great accomplishment that he created this Giloy in Matan Torah, and now we can only remember Zachar, right? Asher Asa Lo Hashem B'Chayrev. There's a memory of it, but maybe that means like a deep memory in our heads. There's a memory, but like sort of a collective memory. But that's the Nakuda, which he's going to explain in the Hagah of Kolam Royim Es HaKolos, that we saw further than what the world of science and the world of matter can see. All of a sudden we had a view of a step higher. I don't know how far we saw, but we saw a step higher. It could be, I think Chazal say someplace that we saw the Ma'aser Merkava. Also, the Shifcha Layam saw what Yecheskel ben Buzi didn't see. So there was this ability to access for the moment a vision of something much, much higher. Could be I think Reb Tzadok writes, Reb Tzadok writes that every person in their life is zocha to a vision like this at least once.
Is this related to the idea of what we said before about a chalom, experiencing like in a chalom?
It's an example. I mean, I think a chalom is a good
example.
example.
Hashem says a nevuah is like a
Sometimes
chalom.
the lowest level of nevuah.
It says Kol HaNevai and
The opposite. He said to Moshe Rabbeinu, I didn't speak to you b'chalom, I actually spoke to you. There is a level of chalom, like Yaakov Avinu fell asleep and he had a dream.
So chalom is a catchword for something.
No, chalom is one step higher than cognizance. And then above chalom, almost the highest level that a person gets to is pel peh davar.
Pel peh is also without consciousness?
Without consciousness. I think it's without consciousness. Without machshava.
Machshava.
One second, let me